The View, live broadcast. The red, on air, sign glows. Cameras pan across the audience as the theme music fades out. The hosts smile from behind the iconic semicircular desk. Sunny Hostin. Today, we're joined by someone who's made waves in Congress for her fiery passion and unapologetic stance on justice. Please welcome Representative Jasmine Crockett. Applause fills the room as Jasmine Crockett walks out, waves, and takes a seat next to Joy Behar. She's wearing a sharp blazer, her expression confident and ready. Whoopi Goldberg. Congresswoman, welcome. Let's dive right in. Voting rights, civil liberties, racial justice. There's a lot going on. What do you want Americans to understand right now? Crockett nodding thoughtfully, thank you, Whoopi. Honestly, what people need to understand is that democracy isn't just under attack, it's being gutted quietly in real time. And we can't afford to keep sugarcoating it. In Texas, in Georgia, across the country, we're seeing laws passed that are rooted in voter suppression, plain and simple. There's a hum of agreement around the table. The audience claps softly. Joy Behar leans in, arms folded. Joy Behar. But Jasmine, don't you think sometimes the language you use, calling things, white supremacy, or fascist, don't you think that turns off moderate voters who might otherwise support your causes? Crockett straightens slightly, her expression sharpening. Crockett. Joy, with respect, what turns people off is inaction. What alienates communities is when we pretend moderation is morally neutral. It's not. Silence in the face of oppression is complicity. And I don't apologize for calling a spade a spade. Joy Behar, incredulous, but isn't that divisive language? Doesn't that just push people further apart? Crockett. What's divisive is pretending the fight for civil rights is too inconvenient for mainstream politics. My job is not to make moderates feel good about injustice. It's to name it, fight it, and fix it. The audience applauds more loudly this time. Sunny nods. Ana Navarro raises an eyebrow but stays quiet. Joy leans back in her chair, visibly bristling. Joy Behar mutters, well, that's one way to look at it. Crockett tilts her head slightly, catching the remark. Crockett. Actually, it's the only way to look at it when you live it every day. The tension on the panel thickens. Whoopi glances at the camera, signaling subtly to the producers. Camera operator whispers, we might need to go to break early. But the conversation is far from over. The lights in the studio seem a bit harsher now, or maybe it's the shift in energy at the table. The applause from the last moment dies down as the air grows heavier. Joy Behar adjusts her glasses and leans forward again, unwilling to let the moment go. Joy Behar. Look, I admire your passion. I do. But sometimes you need to read the room. Swing voters in places like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, they don't respond well to being called complicit or racist. You have to meet people where they are. Crockett blinks slowly, her posture tightening as she processes the implication. Jasmine Crockett. Meet them where they are. Joy, black folks have been meeting people where they are for hundreds of years. At lunch counters, on buses, at polling stations. The problem isn't where people are, the problem is they've been allowed to stay there while the rest of us fight to survive. There's a mix of applause and murmurs from the audience. Sunny Hostin gives a slight nod of support. Behar scoffs lightly, clearly irritated now. Joy Behar. I'm not saying people shouldn't fight for what's right. I'm saying messaging matters. You come off as angry, sometimes combative, and that turns people off. Crockett exhales through her nose, the kind of breath someone takes when they're trying hard to stay composed. She leans in slightly toward Joy, her voice calm but cutting. Jasmine Crockett. Joy, I am angry. I'm angry because I have to fight tooth and nail for my constituents to be heard, to be seen, to exist without fear. And what you call combative, I call survival. What you call messaging, I call truth. The studio is silent for a beat. Behar smirks, masking discomfort with sarcasm. Joy Behar. Okay, well, truth is subjective these days. You know, everyone thinks they've got the monopoly on it. Crockett's eyes narrow ever so slightly. Jasmine Crockett. Truth isn't subjective when people are dying. When black maternal mortality is 3 times higher. When voting lines in black neighborhoods are hours longer. That's not my truth, it's the truth. The audience breaks into loud applause. Joy tries to wave it off. Joy Behar. I'm not denying facts, I'm just saying tone matters. You can't yell at people into voting with you. Crockett chuckles, but there's no humor in it. Jasmine Crockett. And I'm saying we've tried whispering. We've tried begging. We've tried being polite. It didn't work. If my voice shakes a system that's been deaf to us for generations, then maybe it needs to shake. There's a loud reaction from the crowd, applause mixed with gasps. Behar folds her arms, her face flushes slightly. She tries to regain her footing. Joy Behar. You're making this about race, when I'm just talking about strategy. Crockett's tone drops, now deadly quiet. Jasmine Crockett. Joy, it is about race. You just don't want it to be. Because when it is, you don't get to be the authority in the room anymore. Joy opens her mouth, stunned into silence. The camera catches Anna Navarro and Sunny Hostin glancing at each other uncomfortably. Whoopi sighs, deep and low, muttering under her breath as she looks off stage. Whoopi Goldberg. Here we go. The control room whispers in the host's earpieces. The producer gestures frantically to wrap it up or go to break. But no one is backing down yet. The room feels like it's holding its breath. Every face at the table is tense, eyes darting between Jasmine Crockett and Joy Behar. The audience, usually lively and chatty, sits in still silence, some leaning forward in their seats. The camera zooms in slowly on Crockett's face, which now shows unmistakable frustration under her calm exterior. Joy Behar breaks the silence, her voice sharp now, the mask of friendly disagreement fully gone. Joy Behar. You know, you're not the only one who's fought for something. I've been on the front lines for women's rights for decades. I've marched, I've spoken out, but I also know how to pick my battles. Jasmine tilts her head slightly, incredulous. Jasmine Crockett. Did you just try to credential check me? You think a few marches give you the right to tell me how to advocate for my people? Joy Behar. Don't twist my words. Jasmine Crockett. I don't need to twist them, Joy. They're crystal clear. There's an audible murmur from the crowd. Sunny Hostin puts a hand over her mouth. Whoopi sits motionless, her arms crossed, watching the moment spiral. Joy Behar. You're being aggressive. Crockett freezes. Then slowly, she rises from her chair. Her movements are precise, controlled. She removes her mic pack, her hands steady, even as her voice trembles, not from fear, but fury restrained. Jasmine Crockett. There it is. The magic word, aggressive. You know what that means when you say it to a black woman on live TV. Joy shifts uncomfortably in her seat, silent now. Jasmine Crockett. It's not a critique. It's a warning. It's a way to shut me up. To paint me as the problem because I dared to speak plainly. And I won't play into it. Not here, not anywhere. She steps back from the table, looking directly into the camera now, not at Joy. Jasmine Crockett. I came here to talk about voter suppression, about what's happening to our democracy. But instead, I was forced to defend my existence. She turns to the hosts, voice unwavering. Jasmine Crockett. I won't sit here and be scolded like a child. Not by anyone, especially not someone who's made a career out of calling herself progressive while policing other women's rage. She walks away from the table, heels clicking sharply on the studio floor. A few members of the audience stand and clap. Others just watch, stunned. Producers rush to the edge of the stage, trying to figure out whether to cut to commercial or let it roll. Whoopi leans back in her chair, sighs, and takes a sip from her mug. Whoopi Goldberg, to no one in particular, and that's why we don't invite people on just to talk over them. The camera lingers on Joy, who sits frozen, red-faced and blinking, her arms now folded tightly in front of her. The applause ends as the screen quickly fades to a wide shot and the theme music kicks in, a bit too early, a bit too loud. The studio hallway is buzzing with controlled chaos. Producers are speaking in hushed, urgent voices. Interns rush past carrying clipboards and phones. Reporters from entertainment blogs and political outlets hover near the backstage door, whispering as security tries to keep the corridor clear. Word has already leaked. Jasmine Crockett walked off the view. And not quietly. Just outside the green room, Crockett stands in front of a step and repeat backdrop. Her blazer is off now, slung over her arm. Her face is composed, but her eyes still burn with intensity. A mic is pushed toward her from a freelance journalist. Lights flash. Cameras are rolling. Reporter. Congresswoman Crockett, would you like to respond to what happened on set just now? Jasmine nods once, slowly, then meets the camera dead on. Jasmine Crockett. Yes, I will always respond when I've been disrespected. Not for me, but for the people I represent. I didn't come on that show to get into a sparring match. I came to talk about disenfranchisement. About how entire communities are being silenced by laws written to keep them out of power. Another mic is pushed forward. Second reporter. Do you regret walking off? Crockett. No, not for 1 second. If the price of telling the truth is losing a few minutes of airtime, I'll pay it. Every time. She pauses. The hallway is quiet now except for the camera clicks. Crockett. Too often, black women are invited into spaces just to be challenged, minimized, or dismissed. We're told we're too loud, too passionate, too angry. But what's actually too loud? Injustice. What's too aggressive? Voter suppression. What's too angry? A democracy that only works for some people. Her voice grows firmer, clearer. Crockett. You don't get to tell someone how to survive when you've never lived through what they're surviving. The clip is already circulating online. The moment she stood up, the line about, coded language, the camera catching Joy's flustered reaction. TikTok has spliced it with old civil rights footage. On Twitter, the hashtags are trending. Hashtag Jasmine Crockett was right. Hashtag Let Black Women Speak. Hashtag The View. Inside the studio, the producers regroup in a small office. One of them watches the playback in silence. Another flips through emails. Viewer feedback is coming in by the second, half of it furious, half of it cheering. ABC's legal department is already drafting statements. The segment will re-air tonight with a disclaimer. Back outside, Jasmine Crockett walks to a waiting black SUV. Her aide opens the door, but before stepping in, she turns to the cameras. Last time, Jasmine Crockett. You invited me for my voice. Don't act surprised when I use it. She steps into the car. The door shuts. The SUV pulls off down the Manhattan block as a crowd of supporters watches her disappear into the noise of the city.